Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Convention, and today we'll be looking at 100 Bullets, Volume 5, The Counterfifth Detective. Where we left off, pieces were beginning to fall into place between Graves and the Trust. Our story begins in Los Angeles. The narration from the lead character, Milo Garrett. It's about 7 o'clock in the evening, mid-January. The sun nothing but a cigar cherry as an old man's weak piss of rain gives an oily shine to Tinseltown. This morning I woke up in a hospital. "So, Mr. Garrett, how you feeling?" the doc says. "Numb," I say back. He chuckles a bit. Tells me you can't feel numb, because numb means you can't feel. You can't feel numb, you can only be numb, he tells me. He goes on, talking some dopey bullshit about my dressing, about itching, about keeping it dry. I wasn't paying attention no more. Funny thing, my brain got locked on those two words. Be numb. Be numb. Be numb. Like some guru mantra or a goddamn irregular heartbeat. Be numb. Be numb. Good advice. So Milo is in a bar, smoking and drinking. His face covered in bandages. The bartender gives him a Manhattan on the house, presumably on account of his injuries. Briefly, Milo, however, explains he's there because he wanted, well, he wanted a bit of a buzz. He wanted to be, as he puts it, on the edge. Right now, he's on his third Manhattan. One more would push him over the edge. Bumps into a guy, drops a phone number, makes a call, sets up an appointment. Picks a brief fight with the guy that bumped into him. Knocks the guy on his ass. Has a drink and buys one for the guy he just knocked on his ass. Milo leaves, but as after having left, he does think on the attaché that Agent Graves brought him 2 weeks previously. Now, this actually is basically what occurred before Agent Graves had his discussion with totally not Joe DiMaggio about the Kennedy assassination. He gives Garrett the briefcase and heads out. And we see not Joe DiMaggio in the corridor as Graves leaves. However, Milo isn't entirely buying the evidence in the briefcase. Too neat. It all adds up. There's a who, a when, and a how, but no why. And so Milo goes to his appointment. On his way, he briefly bumps into Lano. Turns out, though, that the man he's there to meet is sitting in his office with a hole in the middle of his forehead. person that Milo was meeting was his employer, Carl Reynolds, who's supposed to be paying him. Only now, well, Reynolds as a whole is Reynolds is dead. So he goes over a few things, and mainly going after the person that he was hired to find. And follows dude to a strip club. Sits down next to him, they have a chat. And they talk about, well, what Reynolds had to do with this particular person. There was a specific painting that Reynolds was looking for. He was supposed to help him find it. Turns out a big scary guy came to him to buy the painting after it had been picked up. And he paid in cash. So the only name he has, the only name that dude has is, well, the treasurer. But he does have the name of a company the painting was sent to. And so Milo leaves with now a bit more information. Goes and meets up with a girl that he knows. That after she gets off from the bar she works at, well, yeah. Milo splits buys a pack of cigarettes as well as a bottle of what he calls a pocket whiskey or ass pocket whiskey. And even though it's after time, well, the bandage is kind of, on his way to this shop, though, he does realize that he'd already seen the guy that arranged to buy the painting. It's clearly the person who killed Carl Reynolds. After leaving, Milo gets into a brief scuffle with some guys outside the liquor store. Goes on about his night. We get a brief flashback to the accident that messed up Milo's face. Wakes up at his girl's place, though. There's a cop there to see him. They talk about how Milo had an appointment with the dead guy, and so Milo explains, hey, I found him in the office, found him dead, I took the check. And, well, things are tight, so he took the check and didn't call 911. They talk some, and Milo kind of blows him off a little bit. Explaining that Chet Fargus was one of the last cops that would give Milo the time of day, so he didn't like bullshitting him. partially because Chet's a cowboy and recognizes the smell of bullshit. So Milo looks up the company that handled the painting, does some digging, gets some information. Tries going in the front door. Opts instead to go with the back, the office, where Milo meets Megan Dietrich. During the conversation, Milo does drop Carl's name. After which Megan takes her leave. Later on at his office, Echo arrives, wanting to hire him. Her boyfriend's missing. She gives him a picture. It's Monroe Tannenbaum, the guy that Milo had spoken to at the strip club the night before. Starts looking around in Tannenbaum's hotel room when Megan Dietrich shows up. Apparently, Tannenbaum asked Dietrich to meet him there. Megan goes to relieve herself and finds a dead man in the bathroom. The dead man being Monroe Tannenbaum, hung by his belt from the bathroom window. Milo and Megan leave, talk a bit about things, and it's revealed that at one point she knows Lana was involved, and at one point Lana worked for her family. He took care of things that needed to be taken care of. Apparently, Lano had the painting. Lano called Megan about it. Basically, being a lion now with the lion tamer's whip in his hand, in his jaws. Megan and Milo part ways, and Milo continues to think on what's going on. Later on, he goes back to the bar, has a drink. Sitting at the bar as well is none other than Cole Burns. Of course, Milo's now suspicious because there's something familiar about Cole, and Cole apparently knows Milo's name. Though Burns explains, hey, no reason to be hostile. We work for the same person, Agent Graves. Though Milo explains that he's in business for himself. However, turns out Graves is concerned, thinks that Milo might be getting in deep over his head, and maybe he needs a hand. Milo refuses, saying that he'll handle it himself. Having breakfast at a diner the next morning, Milo runs into Lano, and they sit across one another. basically doing what they can to intimidate each other. The waitress briefly gets in the way, or stands in front of Milo, however, and Lano escapes. Milo gets himself a little drunk, goes to Megan and Dietrich's house, barges in, and sees the painting, which includes the word Croatoa. This leads to Milo driving off while guzzling down booze and crashing his car. Then has a brief flashback. Milo, turns out, was a Minuteman. Comes to from his flashback. Megan's found him. And helps him out, and, well, takes care of himself, and then, well, let's just say Megan and Milo take care of each other. The next morning, Agent Graves is waiting outside. Gives Milo a ride. Milo is, of course, openly hostile to Graves. Graves asked him a question, though. What was Milo arrested for? So he one too many. Made a little noise with a loud mouth, went the night in the stir, sleeping off a misdemeanor. Graves asks if Milo remembers the fight. If he remembers anything before waking up in jail. Graves drops Milo off at his office, and when Milo goes in, there's Chet digging through his files. Mainly, and of course Chet's there because, well, Morgan, the guy running the hotel that Tannenbaum was staying in, did mention seeing a guy covered in bandages going up towards Tannenbaum's room. As Chet leaves, the phone rings and, well, it's Echo. And he's got to break the news to her that Tannenbaum's dead. She doesn't really... She's not that too terribly interested, but there's a painting. So he goes to meet with her. And she explains that her and Tannenbaum work together. She opens doors. In Milan, she was contacted by Tannenbaum and his partner. She did what she does. Tannenbaum did what he does. Her part of things took longer, and Tannenbaum left her with a short end without the money that he promised. And since she doesn't have the money, she would like the painting. There's a knock on the door. And Lano shows up. Puts a gun to Echo's head. Echo, by the way, is called him Carl. However, then Lano pushes Echo at Milo and they go out a window. Broke his arm, but Echo does come to see him, so he catches a cab and takes her to the airport. Suggesting that, yeah, okay, you got sipped. Guess what, though? Trying to get what she's owed is not going to end well. So, best thing she can do is walk away. And Milo calls Megan, who simply says that she knows who he is and asks if he's calling to gloat. Apparently, someone invaded her home, killed her security guards, and stole the painting. This is, of course, news to Milo. She goes on to add that she knows who he is and who his friends are. Finally, Milo takes off his bandages, goes back to the Velvet Lounge where his girl works. He asks Nadine, the girl in question, who is he? She says he's Milo, a real hard nose that she's got soft spots for. Cat who knows what makes a lady purr. The other bartender, he asks the other bartender who he is to him. Guy says he's some boozer with a real chip on his shoulder, always picking fights. And borrows Nadine's car and heads over to the Dietrich house. Trying to explain he's not going to hurt her. Goes back to his office. Does reapply bandages. And then Lano shows up. Ready to kill Milo. Milo actually fights back a bit and probably gets shot in the face, but shot in the face and then beaten in the head by Lano. Outside, after leaving, Lano then meets up with Echo. Who it turns out had an appointment with Carl Reynolds. And that is where Volume 5 ends. That's it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long, rock hard, and stay safe, everyone.